Animal Man number 7, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Travel Foreman and Steve Pugh. We left off last issue with the family hopping in an RV and fleeing the rot so that they can go get the help of Alec Holland, aka Swamp Thing. And this issue, they're still in the RV, making it cross country. We get opening and throughout the issue a couple shots of places throughout Utah of people who are attacked by the rot-infected woodland critters from last issue, and it's always played up as a horrifying thing of, a couple grizzly bears and wolves just showing up at your door. So yeah, that happens throughout Utah. And then also driving through Utah is, of course, the family who they're like, okay, so our talking cat Socks says that we should go down to Louisiana and find Swamp Thing, and I agree, but maybe we can make a pit stop over in Central City because the Flash is there and he might be of some help because I met him once, and the Justice League could probably help us. And Ellen's like, yeah, you think the Justice League is going to help us? They're all fighting aliens or whatever. And Cliff chimes up like, hey, before my phone died, turns out Central City still had a power outage because of the events of Flash 1 through 6. And Buddy's like, well, then why don't you make us a map of places we can go to if your phone's so cool? And he's like, because it's out of batteries, Dad. And Ellen gets fed up with their bickering and all their stupid ideas and says, like, all right, look, we'll park. There was a town a couple miles back. You guys go down there, get charging cables for his phone, and some food for us to eat. Actual food, not junk food. Also cat food as well. And Socks says, not the cheap, dry stuff. So they're walking back to the town, and Cliff is a little bit upset that his dad isn't letting him fly like he does with Maxine. But he's like, oh, well, we're laying low for right now, Cliff. Like, just, I will when we're done with all this. So he goes and makes a call to the detective, like the police back home, to let them know that the detective was killed and, is dead. And Cliff goes in the convenience store to buy some food. As he gets up to the counter with all the food, he looks over and outside the window and starts checking out a couple of girls who are outside. And as he walks out, he sees one of them is wearing an Animal Man t-shirt, like literally the cover to issue number 1. And it says Evolve or Die on it, which I don't know how that works in story because there was definitely no time for them to do branding. But regardless, he comes up and he's like, hey, Animal Man's my dad. And they're like, yeah, okay. And Superman is mine. Like, cool. And they're like, no, really, my dad, he's Animal Man. And they're like, yeah, sure. Aren't you like 12? Like, how old are you, kid? And on cue, as they're like starting to belittle Cliff a little bit, Buddy comes up and he's like, there you are, Cliff. The Justice League needs us. Let's go. And he grabs Cliff and then flies off. And Cliff is like, thank you so much for making me look cool in front of those girls, Dad. So then we cut back to the RV, and it's Maxine, Ellen, and Ellen's mom, and they're playing cards. And Ellen's mom is like, Maxine, it's pretty scary the things that happen to you and your daddy. It's okay to be scared. And she's like, I'm not scared. I mean, yeah, those bad things are in the red place, but the red place is my home, and they're gone, and now I'll be able to sense them when they're coming. And immediately Ellen's mom was like, no 4-year-old should ever have been put through this. Your husband, talking to Ellen, your husband has been horrible for you and your family. And of course, on cue, he walks in and she storms out. And it turns out Cliff got nothing but junk food, so punchline to joke. Later on that night, everyone's asleep, and Buddy wakes up and looks around, and nobody's there. Everyone's gone. And as he steps outside to find them, he sees that the earth is just in ruins with skulls and bones and flies and thunder and lightning. And as he looks around, he sees Seth, which I believe was a Swamp Thing reveal. So it's weird that he's over here as well. Again, you really got to read both books at once. And the rest of the Hunters 3 are in there, and he's like, yep, this is the earth. We took it over. Ha, 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 ha. And then a slightly older Maxine and Swamp Thing come in, and they're like, Dad, what are you doing here? And they start trying to fight the rot. And then behind them, I believe, are Constantine and Ellen. And Constantine starts talking to Buddy, and it's just like, hey, this is the future. Have you not figured that out yet? Like, this is what happens because you didn't protect Maxine. You didn't let her be able to learn about her powers and become the protector that she needs to be. And as they're saying that, Maxine is captured by one of the hunters and is infected with the rot. And as Buddy comes up to try to save her, her eyes just fling open and she turns into one of those grotesque looking monsters, which then shoots him awake. He's up and he looks over and Maxine is standing right next to him, just staring him down. It's just like, Daddy, the bad things are coming. And he's like, what? Who? Huh? Oh, okay. Everyone just stay inside. I'm going to go out and check. I'm sure that everything out there is not that bad. And of course, as soon as he goes outside, who is it but all the woodland critters here to attack the group? Hell of a start of an arc. It doesn't particularly feel that different to the arc that we just had. Like, it just feels like a natural continuation of it. So it's not really a clear delineation between where one stops and where one ends, but it is still good. It's still telling a great story that I am very invested in, and I'm loving these characters and how they all interact, and just the creepiness of it, the horror of it. It's very well done. It perfectly manages to balance humor and horror. It's just a masterclass. I really do enjoy it. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5. The only reason why it's lower than what it sounds like I'm pitching it as is because this is still just kind of setting up to where we're going next. It's not exactly its own particular thing. Like, it's just setting up a little bit of family drama, a little bit of, okay, let's all just take a second. We'll get some food. We'll do some other stuff. We'll set up, like, his worries about his daughter and stuff like that. But the actual action and forwarding of the plot is going to take place soon. This isn't that issue. So that's the only reason it's a bit lower than maybe it should be, but it's still fantastic. Art is great, and I cannot speak any more highly of it than I have over the past 6 months.